One thing I love to see happen in the Shark Tank is when a couple of sharks don't just battle each other for a deal, but they make significantly different offers. That happened this past Friday night, not just once, but twice. Hi, I'm Jennings Moss. I'm the editor of the Upstart Business Journal, and I'm, of course, your host of The Chum, our regular breakdown of ABC's reality show about entrepreneurs and the new economy. As usual, I've got 3 lessons to share, as well as my picks for biggest deal and best pitch from the 16th new episode of Season 6 of Shark Tank. Let's get right to it. Lesson 1. Always be on the lookout for inspiration that could spark a new business idea or take your business in a new direction. And a good place for that kind of spark can come in trend studies or research that a newspaper or a website or TV will report on. This is how cousins Wesley Laporte and Daniel Barnes came up with their product, PhoneSoap, which helps get rid of germs on smartphones and tablets. They heard a report that your mobile phone can carry 18 times more germs than a public toilet. Yeah, not pretty. But instead of just being repulsed by that thought, they saw opportunity and developed a case that uses UV light to kill bacteria. The Cousins Company was still relatively new, but they said they'd sold $575,000 in their first 5 months, with many of those sales coming from online, and they'd found their way into staples as well. They came into the tank looking for $300,000 in exchange for 7.5%, and they got offers from 2 sharks with very different visions of where to take their company. First up was Mark Cuban, who thought they should go a commercial route and target hospitals, since no one wants to catch a bug from a patient or pass something along to someone already getting care in that facility. But secondly, Lori Grenier thought going straight to the consumer via QVC or retail, now that was the way she wanted them to go. The cousins chose Lori's approach and made a deal giving her 10% equity in their business. The thing is, I may never look at my phone the same way again. Lesson 2. When dealing with competing offers, it's probably a wise choice to go with the one that doesn't cost as much equity, at least if you're dealing in a competition among equals, and really, the Shark Tank, that's what that is. This is the lesson that came from the decision Jen Wright and Ned Kensing, the entrepreneurs behind Greenbox, made in the tank. Their product was a new kind of pizza box, one where one side could be split apart to make plates, and the other side could be folded as a convenient way to store leftovers. They had an all-important utility patent. They reported having $1.7 million in sales. So they were able to show they were onto something. They wanted $300,000 for 10% of their business. They got 2 offers. Kevin O'Leary, who we learned was an investor in the Canadian chain Boston Pizza, said he'd give them the money and accept that equity level, but then would require that he get paid back the investment with their first big deal that they would make with the pizza company to license the box. Second offer came from Lori and Robert Hershevik, who would give them the cash, but they wanted 30% of the company. And they said, 2 sharks can be better than 1. Now, I can see where that would be true a lot of the time, but not always and not in this case. They ended up going with Kevin, a move even Mark Cuban said was smart, and Mark rarely compliments Kevin O'Leary. Lesson 3. Yes, it is possible to care too much what your customers or critics think. This, at least, was the opinion of Robert as he considered the pitch from Deborah and David Minion, who came into the tank pitching their drink company, Victoria's Kitchen. The Minions had something different, and their main product was almond water, which they said was a popular beverage in their home country of France as well as elsewhere in Europe, but it's not so well known here in the US, and they said they were willing to change future products to better match American tastes. But that willingness to change, that eagerness to adapt, actually turned off Robert and Mark. Robert said that when you're a small player pitching something totally new, you need to have enough conviction to lead the customer where you want them to go. And to Mark, their pitch came off as somewhat desperate. It's really an interesting dilemma here. I can just imagine that if they came in unwilling to budge, some of the sharks would have faulted them for not being willing to compromise. So it's all about finding that right line, and you won't know what that line is unless you're in those shoes. Between that and concerns that the beverage business was an incredibly difficult one to break into, the Minions walked away without a deal. With the lessons out of the way, it's time for the night's honorees. Best pitch? I'm going to give this one to Greenbox. After a couple of false anxiety-filled starts, the 2 entrepreneurs found their groove and did a nice job introducing the product and talking about their business plan. Plus, it was a pretty cool idea to take something we've come to accept as a given, the shape and form of a pizza box, and turn it into something new. Now, I discovered in doing research after this episode aired that the idea for the box originally came from another friend of the Greenbox co-founders, William Walsh, but he died in 2011, 2 years after inventing the thing. It's nice to see his legacy get some attention. I could easily give the deal of the night to Greenbox too, but instead I think PhoneSoap gets this one in a very close contest. Going with Lori and her connections with QVC and retail has the best chance of getting their product out to a wider group of people faster than if they had gone with Mark, and they can still try the hospital approach down the road. Plus, they didn't give up that much more equity. So that's it for this episode of The Chum. Keep watching Shark Tank on ABC's, which is now airing repeats on Tuesdays and new episodes on Fridays, and return here to get my take on what went down. Plus, as usual, for more news about entrepreneurs and startups, check out upstartbusinessjournal.com. Thanks for watching.